Welcome to 1623 Studios' Voter's Guide to the 2025 Gloucester Municipal Election. I'm Corey Kukru alongside Heather Atwood. Gloucester is holding elections on Tuesday, November 4th for mayor, 4 at-large city councilor seats, 5 ward councilors, and the school committee, which has 6 members plus the mayor. And we will have live wire-to-wire coverage for you from City Hall's Kairos Auditorium starting at 7 p.m. with exclusive interviews, instant results after the polls close at 8 p.m., and real-time reaction from city officials.
To help you prepare to vote, our guide has all the essential information you need. We'll explain each of the officials' roles and respective duties. We will introduce you to each of the candidates and discuss the biggest issues in this year's election. We will tell you where to vote, how to vote, and what happens after you cast your ballot. Let's begin with 1623 Studios' policy regarding municipal elections.
Our objective is to provide the public with as much information as possible on the elections while following our core principles. Transparency. We provide live broadcast coverage of the candidate forums unless scheduling conflicts or technological constraints such as poor internet access interfere. 1623 Studios also invites every candidate to record a public statement up to 4 minutes long.
Accessibility. All recorded forums and statements air on Channel 6. They are also posted to our website, 1623studios.org, as as 1623 Studios' YouTube channel. This enables us to keep the greatest possible portion of the community engaged and informed.
Neutrality. 1623 Studios does not and will never endorse a specific candidate, party, or ballot measure. Our content is factual and does not include editorial opinions. We present events in their entirety, without video or audio edits that could misrepresent facts.
As Cape Ann's public access station, your feedback is vital to our operation. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please contact us at info@1623studios.org.
Now, a deeper look into Gloucester's population, according to the most recent data from the U.S. Census Bureau and Census Reporter. As of 2024, Gloucester's population was 30,491, with 24,153 registered voters. There were 2,862 students in Gloucester Public Schools from pre-K to grade 12. There are 1,454 veterans in Gloucester, including 39 women. The employment rate is 59.8%. 9.9% of Gloucester's population reported disability, and 2.2% of the population are without health care coverage.
The total number of households is 13,180. There are 14,630 housing units in Gloucester. The median household income here is $87,898. The median value of an owner-occupied home is $587,800. The median gross rent in Gloucester is $1,395 per month. Gloucester has a 10.6% poverty rate, with almost 20% of that under the age of 18.
At the time of this recording, Election Day is 1 week away. Here is what has already transpired this election season. The preliminary election was held on September 16th to decide the top 2 candidates for mayor. 3 candidates ran, with the top 2 vote-getters advancing to November's election: incumbent Mayor Greg Verga, former City Council President Paul Lundberg, and incumbent Councilor at-large Jeff Worthley. Turnout was just under 22% of registered voters. Paul Lundberg topped the ticket, receiving 2,384 votes, or 46% of the vote. Incumbent Greg Verga received 1,605 votes, or 31%, and Jeff Worthley received 1,124 votes, or 22%. Because of this, Greg Verga and Paul Lundberg advanced to the general election.
The stage is now set for Election Day on November 4th. 2 candidates are running for mayor. 6 candidates are running for 4 at-large councilor seats. 10 candidates are running for 6 school committee seats. And 8 candidates are running for ward councilor, with 2 candidates running unopposed, Frank Margiotta in Ward 4 and Sean Nolan in Ward 5. According to the city charter, all candidates serve 2-year terms. The charter will not be revisited until 2030.
Let's learn about the duties performed by mayor, at-large councilor, city councilor, and school committee, then introduce you to this year's candidates. We'll share with you their career outlines sourced from their websites, literature, and the Gloucester Times. To learn more about the candidates, you can watch their recorded statements on Channel 6 or 1623 Studios' YouTube channel.
What does the mayor do? The mayor is the executive branch of city government. According to the city charter, the term begins on the first secular day of January following the election. Key mayoral responsibilities are to make appointments to city offices, including department heads and boards, police chief, and fire chief, but they must all be confirmed by the city council. The mayor acts as a seventh member of the school committee and the coordinator for the school committee with other city departments. The mayor creates a budget and presents it to the city council for approval.
But mayors have help. As the charter states, the mayor shall within 60 days appoint a chief financial officer who is professionally qualified as a municipal administrator by virtue of training, education, or experience. That person may prepare and administer the annual budget and manage capital outlay programs. Basically, the CFO can do anything at the mayor's direction except appoint and terminate city officers or veto city council decisions. Mayor Greg Verga's chief financial officer is Connor McCorkle.
Who is running for mayor? The incumbent is Greg Verga, first elected mayor in 2021. Verga is running for his third term. The challenger is Paul Lundberg, a former city councilor and city council president. Both candidates grew up in Gloucester and were educated in Gloucester Public Schools. This is the order they appear on the ballot.
First on the ballot is the incumbent Greg Verga. Here are some points that mark his 2 terms as mayor. Verga is running for a 3rd term and has worked as a licensed real estate agent since 2005. He served 8 years on school committee, 6 as Ward 5 councilor, and was a councilor at large from 2014 to 2016. He negotiated a $5 million payment from the state toward renovating the police station and district court and completed that project. In his first term, he signed an agreement with the state and federal environmental officials to upgrade the sewer treatment plant, an unresolved issue since 2001. He earmarked $10 million of ARPA funds towards a $23 million cost of this project.
In his first term, Verga hired a full-time climate sustainability coordinator and later enacted a climate action resilience plan. He supplemented paving and pothole budgets and designated $3 million in ARPA funds for road repairs. Aiming at reducing traffic and increasing revenues, Verga enacted a reservation program for beach access. He supported funding and finalizing the relocation of the Vietnam Memorial to a more prominent site at Stage Fort Park. And he made parking in the city free for veterans.
With his support, City Council approved a $29 million appropriation for the Sawyer Free Library renovation, allowing the city to receive funding and permitted financing for the project. He coordinated the development of the Gloucester Municipal Harbor Plan, a strategic document aimed at preserving and responsibly expanding the economy associated with waterfront. He strengthened the relationship between the Affordable Housing Trust and the Community Preservation Committee to facilitate more inclusive housing. He directed $1.5 million from ARPA, as well as tax receipts from short-term rental fees to the trust to deliver a continual funding resource.
Verga supported restoration of Tablet Rock in Stage Fort Park. He made the city-owned art inventory publicly accessible by launching a comprehensive online art gallery in partnership with the Gloucester Committee for the Arts. He instituted a 5-year budget projection policy for fiscal planning. The city has maintained its AA bond rating through his 2 terms.
The challenger for mayor is Paul Lundberg. After graduating from Northwestern University, Lundberg started a lifelong career in transportation as a train conductor on the Chicago and Northwestern Railway. That led to a 40-year management career in trains and ships, serving as Vice President of Labor Relations and Senior Vice President of Operations at C&NW, Maersk Sealand, and the Central Maine and Quebec Railway. He ultimately served as General Manager of Boston's commuter rail in the early 2000s.
In Gloucester, Lundberg has already served 3 terms on the City Council with 1 term as president. He served 6 years on the Gloucester Planning Board with 2 years as its chair. Lundberg has served 10 years as a trustee of Addison Gilbert and Beverly Hospitals, chairing the Quality and Patient Experience Committee. And Lundberg has served on the boards of the Sawyer Free Library and Wellspring House. In his time on the council, Lundberg was directly involved in the effort to build the new East Gloucester Elementary School and worked personally among the City Council, School Committee, and the Massachusetts School Building Authority towards that goal. More recently, Lundberg helped formulate the city's housing production plan, stressing the need for proactive planning to ensure residents can continue to afford to live in Gloucester. The plan emphasized goals such as revising zoning ordinances, identifying sites for new housing, leveraging funding sources like the Community Preservation Act, and minimizing displacement of lower-income households.
Now let's take a close look at Gloucester City Council. The council is a legislative branch of city government. There are 9 members, 5 ward councilors elected by their wards, and 4 at-large councilors elected citywide. Councilors are responsible for enacting city laws. They meet on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of each month at 7 p.m. in City Hall. The council also confirms the mayor's appointments.
And it approves the mayor's proposed annual budget. The council has 3 standing committees: Budget and Finance, Ordinances and Administration, Planning and Development. Each is comprised of 3 councilors. They hold regular public meetings to consider the matters referred to them by the council.
Let's meet the 6 candidates running for the 4 at-large seats. Keep in mind that voters can choose up to 4 candidates. Here they are in ballot order. Barnaby Prendergast. Prendergast has lived in Gloucester since 2006, not including a short time in Florida. He's a volunteer with Housing for All Gloucester, described on their website as an all-volunteer organization focused on solutions to increase fair, affordable, and environmentally sustainable housing. He is a member of the Gloucester Clean City Commission. His work experience includes information technology, computer forensics, data processing, carpentry, and working as a sternman on a lobster boat.
Next on the ballot is Hannah Kimberly. Kimberly is president of the League of Women Voters Cape Ann. She serves as vice president of the Gloucester Human Rights Commission. She is a co-founder of Women's Equality Cape Ann and a member of Housing for All Gloucester. She currently teaches in the Salem Public Schools.
Jason Groh. Groh is running for a 3rd consecutive term. He's currently the chair of the Planning and Development Standing Committee. He also served as the Ward 1 councilor for 2 terms. He's focused on affordable housing for working and middle-class families, seniors, and young people, as well as managing impacts from climate change, upgrading infrastructure, and supporting strong local schools. And he's worked for 30 years as a magazine and corporate photographer/photojournalist.
Tony Gross is seeking a 3rd term as councilor at large. He serves as council president and is vice chair of the Budget and Finance Standing Committee. Gross served 13 years on the Gloucester School Committee, including 6 years as chair of their Building and Finance Subcommittee. He is a member of the Municipal Harbor Plan Committee and has served 12 years on the Waterways Board, with 7 as its chair. Gross chaired the On-Site Wastewater Treatment Citizens Advisory Committee and has a certificate in wastewater management.
Sean McQueenie. McQueenie is 39 years old and considers himself a liaison to younger voters. He moved to Gloucester 11 years ago and works in the city as a high-volume restaurant manager. He says, and I quote, "What I lack in experience, I'll make up for with dedication and energy." He volunteers regularly at the Grace Center, and he is trained to be a volunteer firefighter and first responder.
Next on the ballot is Patty Ann Page. Page worked at NOAA for 32 years as a fisheries regulatory compliance specialist. Today, she serves as liaison for Mortallaro Lobster in Gloucester. She serves on the board of the Gloucester Fishermen's Wives Association. Page has worked with the city economic program, Gloucester Fresh, which promotes local seafood. She served on the Waterways Board and the Ad Hoc Committee in Pesticide Reduction for the Fisheries Commission. Page received the United Universalist Church Social Justice Citizenship Award in 2016. Now
let's meet the candidates running for ward councilor. Note, Each ward gets its own ballot featuring the candidates for that ward only. Wards are determined by population between major roads and waterways. There are approximately 6,000 people per ward in Gloucester. First in ballot order for Ward 1 is Scott Memhard. He was elected Ward 1 City Councilor in 2015 and has served 5 consecutive terms. He chairs the Budget and Finance Committee. He has been the president of Cape Pond Ice for more than 40 years. He was a director and board president of Sawyer Free Library, the Gloucester UU Church, and the Greater Cape Ann Chamber of Commerce. He has served on the boards of Maritime Gloucester, the Cape Ann Commercial Fishermen's Loan Fund, the Phyllis A. Marine Association, and the Gloucester Fisheries Commission.
Tracy O'Neill is also running to be Ward 1 councillor. She was elected to represent Ward 2 in 2021. State redistricting made her ineligible to run in Ward 2 in 2023, so she ran for mayor, but lost in a preliminary race. She then pitched an unsuccessful write-in campaign for councillor at large. A staunch opponent to zoning changes in Gloucester's downtown, O'Neill opposed both the City Council's efforts to zone for more multifamily homes and the state law requiring it. She is now a resident of Ward 1 because of redistricting and running for Ward 1 councillor.
The first Ward 2 candidate is Donald Jedis. He's a local chiropractor who has lived in Ward 2 for more than 40 years. He has also served in the military. He ran unsuccessfully for Ward 2 councillor in 2023. On the Grace Center, he has said, and I quote, "That is not the location for recovery downtown unless you want to turn downtown into recovery. Then I support it at that location. I'm not against helping people, I'm talking about the location." He also says, "I have declared my candidacy to defend those whose interests are routinely overlooked by the current system."
Dylan Benson is currently the Ward 2 councillor. He was elected to represent Ward 2 in 2023. He is a lifetime Ward 2 resident. Benson now sits on the Planning and Development Standing Committee. He earned a bachelor's degree from Salem State College, a master's from Anna Maria College, and a master's certificate from Northeastern University. Benson works in the City of Beverly's legal department.
In the Ward 3 race, the first on the ballot is Joseph Orlando. Orlando ran unsuccessfully against current Ward 3 councillor Marjorie Grace in 2023. He served as a Ward 3 councillor and a councillor at large in the 1980s. He told the Gloucester Times during the 2023 election, quote, "I'm running because I've been in the community all of my life. I feel I can do something for the ward."
Marjorie Grace currently serves as Ward 3 councillor. She was first elected to represent Ward 3 in 2023. There are 3 ways to get into Gloucester, Grace says. 4 if you count the ocean, and all 3 come through Ward 3. Every decision made in this city affects Ward 3. That's Grace talking. Grace works as a surgical technologist at Leahy Medical Center in Peabody. She says the 3 most important issues to her constituents are lack of affordable housing, overdevelopment, and parking.
Current Ward 4 councillor Frank Margiotta is running unopposed. He was elected as a write-in candidate in 2021 to represent Ward 3, but moved to Ward 4 and was subsequently elected to represent that ward in 2023. He graduated from Johnson & Wales University with a Bachelor of Arts in Business Management, and he works as the Farmers Truck Coordinator for the Open Door.
Current Ward 5 councillor Sean Nolan is also running unopposed. Nolan was first elected to City Council in 2015, and he is running for his 6th consecutive term. He is Vice President of the City Council and Chair of the Ordinance and Administration Standing Committee. His background includes participation in the Magnolia Lions, board member of the Magnolia Library. He is a member of the Freemasons, and he is involved with Shriners Hospital. Nolan is the owner of Extreme Truck and Auto in Gloucester.
We now turn to the race for school committee. There are 10 people running for the 6 open school committee seats. Keep in mind that the mayor is also the 7th member of the school committee. First things first, what does the school committee do? It exercises control and management over the public schools. It appoints a superintendent, physicians and nurses, the special education director, and a business administrator. The next school committee will search and hire a new school superintendent. The school committee also furnishes all school buildings with proper fixtures, including equipment for school grounds.
The school committee submits their annual proposed budget to the mayor to include in the city budget, which must be approved by the city council. The mayor also serves on the committee with full power to vote, making 7 members. And here's a note. Gloucester Public School teachers and paraprofessionals went on strike in November 2024. It lasted for 15 days with 10 days of school closure. The results meant significant raises for teachers and paraprofessionals. Both groups gained 7 weeks of fully paid parental leave. These contract amendments reflected 0 staff losses in the school budget.
Let's meet the candidates running for school committee in the order that they appear on the ballot. All current members of the school committee are running for re-election, and there are 4 newcomers. First, Kathleen Clancy. She is the chair of the school committee, running for a 9th term. She has been the chair of the Building and Finance Subcommittee, and she has chaired the Programs Committee. She was a member of the East Veterans and West Parish School Building Committees, and she has a degree in accounting and an MBA in finance with over 20 years of experience.
Laura Wiesen is next on the ballot. Wiesen is running for her 4th term. She chairs the Programs Subcommittee. She has worked in the updated attendance policy and the updated policy on electronic devices in schools. Wiesen previously worked in television news as a producer. Her 2 children attend Gloucester Public Schools.
Jeremy McKean. McKean is seeking a 2nd term. He has taught high school English in Lynn since 2001 and is a member of the Lynn Teachers Union. He has worked with the AFL-CIO as a futures representative. He's part of the Gloucester Democratic City Committee, first as social media outreach and then as the Ward 1 chair. He has 3 children attending Gloucester schools.
Nasruddin Taber is next. Taber is an IT professional at Ligand Pharmaceuticals. He is a New Hampshire native but lives now in Gloucester. His partner is a kindergarten teacher in the Gloucester Public Schools. Taber cites his time in the New Hampshire National Guard, specifically the Military Funerals Honor Team, where they paid final tribute to veterans across the region, for educating him on the power of showing up for families at their most vulnerable time.
William Melvin Jr. Melvin is running for a 3rd term and is the current vice chair. He sits in the Building and Finance Committee as well as the Programs Committee. He led negotiations for the district during last year's teachers' strike, which resulted in a ratified contract. His 3 children graduated from Gloucester Public School System, and he was also president of the Gloucester Little League for 8 years.
Andrea Liakis. Liakis is PTO president at O'Malley Innovation Middle School. She has taught chorus and drama for 18 years at North Andover Middle School. She has a BA in musical education and musical theater, a master's degree in education, and a certificate of advanced graduate studies in educational leadership. Liakis has 2 children in the Gloucester Public Schools.
Melissa Texera Prince. She has served on the school committee for 9 terms and was a member of the Essex Tech School Committee for 9 years. She's the chairperson to the Building and Finance Subcommittee, and she has worked at Gloucester District Court for 32 years, assisting with matters of domestic violence, mental health, substance use, and criminal and civil matters.
Keith Mineo. Mineo was first elected in 2023. He is seeking his 2nd term on the school committee. He was raised in Magnolia, moved to California for a brief time, and returned to raise his 2 children in the Gloucester Public Schools. Mineo was a concessions manager for a coffee house in Berkeley, California, and served as a teacher assistant and school purchaser for his child's cooperative preschool. Mineo has worked as a lobsterman on his father's boat, as a sales associate at Cape Ann Lobsterman, and as an insurance agent.
Heather Daigle. Daigle is a real estate agent on the North Shore and a lifelong resident of Gloucester. She's the former vice president of Discover Gloucester. She's a member of the Affordable Housing Trust, which was created to support the creation, preservation, and maintenance of affordable housing in Gloucester. She works with her uncle and cousins for the family business, 7 Seas Whale Watch.
Brianna Hodgkins. Hodgkins describes herself as an island native. She has experience in childcare, early education, substitute teaching, and volunteering. Hodgkins holds bachelor's and master's degrees in finance and business. She currently works in marketing. She has 3 children, 2 of which are in the Gloucester Public Schools today.
Here are some key information and deadlines regarding this year's election. There is no early voting. On November 4th, the polls open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The deadline for absentee in-person voting is November 3rd at noon. If you're interested in being a poll worker, visit the city clerk's office during business hours or email elections@gloucester-ma.gov. Poll workers are paid $170 to $225 a day, depending on the position. The city also offers volunteer opportunities. For more information about the elections, go to gloucester-ma.gov/337/elections.
And now we will let you know where to do your in-person voting on November 4th. Ward 1, Precincts 1 and 2 will vote at East Veterans Elementary School, 11 Webster Street. Ward 2, Precincts 1 and 2 will vote at Our Ladies Youth Center, 140 Prospect Street.
All Ward 3 residents, that's Precincts 1 and 2, go to the Gloucester High School Fieldhouse at 32 Leslie O. Johnson Road. In Ward 4, Precinct 1, residents must go to Beeman Memorial School at 138 Cherry Street. And Precinct 2 residents must go to Plum Cove School at 15 Hickory Street.
Ward 5, Precinct 1 votes at the Magnolia Library Center, 1 Lexington Avenue. Ward 5, Precinct 2 votes at West Parish Elementary School, 10 Concord Street.
That does it for the 1623 Studios Voter's Guide to the 2025 Gloucester Municipal Election. Again, our election night coverage begins Tuesday, November 4th at 7 p.m. from Kyrie's Auditorium at City Hall. Our guests will be Ethan Foreman from the Gloucester Times and outgoing councilors at large Val Gilman and Jeff Worthley. When the polls close at 8 p.m., we'll have immediate results and reactions. In the meantime, you can watch all the candidate statements and forums on Comcast Channel 6, as well as 1623 Studios social media outlets. We leave you now with 2 brief but important interviews that Heather and I just conducted. One with Gloucester City Clerk Grace Poirier about the voting and voting results process, and another with Ethan Foreman of the Gloucester Times on this election season. From all of us at 1623 Studios, we'll see you live on November 4th for full coverage of the 2025 Gloucester Municipal Election. All right, Grace Poirier, she is the city clerk for the city of Gloucester, is joining us now to talk all things election. Well, we want to get the procedure from A to Z, Grace. I hope you're ready for that. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
It's great to see you again. So I guess right off the top, though, how are you doing this election season? Because there was a special election earlier this year, the preliminary election, sort of a lot for you to suss through.
Yes, I'm doing well. I have a really good team that I work with in the city clerk's office. Marie has been the assistant registrar/election specialist for like 15 years, so she does a lot of prep work with me, and really grateful to have her expertise as well as the other staff, the assistant city clerk, Danielle, and AJ Lines and Karen. We really do work together well and get the job done.
So, Grace, how does the city set up an election like this?
The election gets set up, the actual physical setup of the election gets done like usually the Monday prior to the election. The DPW goes out and sets up the polling places, which are in schools. We have one at the Magnolia Library Center, and one is also at the Youth Center at Our Lady of the Gorge Church.
Mm-hmm. So the DPW, they're like the stars on Monday, right? They're getting the card tables, the long tables set up.
The tables that are set up, the booths that are set up, it will have been them. We have the clerk's office. I have a plan set up on where things are supposed to go, but they get all of that set up, make sure the lighting is fine. They bring out the handicapped accessible booths, get those set up as well. So that on election morning, we can go in with our tabulators, get that set up, and we're ready to go.
So the tabulators are voting machines, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So how, who checks the voting machine? How do we know everything's operating okay?
Are they just stored at City Hall, or do they just come in for elections?
The tabulators are securely stored at City Hall. They are publicly tested. Mass General Law requires that we test those with the actual memory devices that go inside of them before each election. That's open to the public. People are welcome to come and watch the process. We have local political committees that will participate in that as well. And we have what are called test decks where we mark up ballots and we run them through the tabulators to make sure that they're read correctly. They're producing the results that they're supposed to produce.
Gotcha. And what about the ballots? So you're courteous enough to send us specimen ballots when they're prepared, and is that done through the state?
It depends on the election.
Okay.
So for a local election, the specimen ballots are based on the actual ballots that are resulting from the nomination papers. And those get printed by a vendor and sent to us. They coordinate, the printing vendor coordinates with our election tabulator vendor to make sure that they're compatible with the machine that we use. And then we get the ballots.
Gotcha.
So let's move on to poll workers. Where do you find poll workers, and what are there any requirements to be a poll worker?
Yeah, well, there's active and passive recruitment. Passive recruitment would be hearing about someone that's interested in being an election worker and we reach out to them, or if we know of someone who would be a good poll worker. People who work at the polls will sometimes tell their friends about it, and it just kind of build a team that way. But we are also required by general law to reach out to the local political committees in the spring of every year. And they can provide us with a list of registered Republicans and registered Democrats. Those are received by the clerk's office. The Board of Registrars reviews them, and if everything is fine, then they get submitted to the City Council for appointment.
Interesting.
And do you need to have parties equally represented, Democrat,
If at all
Republican?
possible.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And poll workers,
Well, at least equal representation in the leadership positions
Oh, okay.
at the polls, so the warden, clerk, and constable. But there is supposed to be that balance there.
so do you have all the poll workers you need for the November 4th? Or are you
Yes.
still looking? You do? Okay.
We do, but we just always put the call out to people that, we can always use reserves
Right.
because life happens.
And then what exactly are their duties that day?
Depends on the position. So the people, when you walk into the polls and you're greeted, those are the inspectors, and they're there to check you in and provide you with a ballot. There's the warden, who is pretty much the chief executive officer of the polling place. They're making sure that everything is being run in accordance with the law. And they're
Direct you to the
working-
correct precinct you're supposed to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they work closely with the city clerk's office on election day. And then there's the clerk that assists the warden. There's a lot of paperwork involved in that position. And then there's the constable who stands by the ballot box.
Do you have poll workers who have done it for many years and are very proud of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have. I don't know how far back they go, but
Yeah.
we have some poll workers that go way, way back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Grace, what we're trying to get to is just how hard this is to coordinate, or maybe it's old hat to you at this point too, because you've done this a while. But just to get back to the ballot real quickly, the order for the ballot, how is that determined for the races?
The ballot order, the city charter requires that there be a ballot drawing. So once the nomination papers come in and they're certified, and we have determined that there's either a preliminary election or a general election like we're having on next Tuesday, all of those names go into a hat or a basket or whatever we have that's creative at the time, and they get pulled out and for each office, and then that determines the order.
Yeah, are the candidates present for that, or
They
someone
can
representing?
be.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know as a poll worker, this is always a little confusing. So give us the answer. What does a voter need to present when they show up to vote?
A voter, in most cases, will not have to present anything other than themselves in order to
Anything,
vote,
nothing.
according to Mass General Law. But there are some circumstances where they are required to show an ID. If they're inactive, which is common when someone has not answered the annual census form, certain circumstances will require that they show an ID the first time they vote. Or if they're going to be voting provisionally, they would be required to show an ID. So while in most cases it's not going to be required, it's good to come prepared. So have either a photo ID or a current bill or something that has your an official document.
Yeah, and if there is an issue, it's not something that can be fixed on the spot, right? I mean, there are deadlines in order to register, like if you haven't filled out census information or there's
So
an
what's going
address
to happen
change.
when someone is inactive at the polls, they're going to be directed over to the clerk's table where they're going to fill out what's called an affirmation of current and continuous residence. They do present their ID for that, just to show what address they are actually currently residing at. They fill that out and then they get sent back to the check-in table.
So they fill that out and then they vote.
Yes.
Yeah, right. And what does provisionally mean? Voting provisionally mean?
Provisional ballots are offered to people who maybe they are not showing up on the voter list. They moved from another town and their voter registration didn't come through. It's an opportunity for pretty much anyone to be able to vote, but those ballots are not tabulated on election night. They're sealed inside special envelopes. There's an affidavit on the outside that the voter will fill out, and then those come back to City Hall, and we have to investigate why was this person a provisional voter. So let's say they went to the Registry of Motor Vehicles and they registered to vote there, but due to some glitch in the system, the voter registration didn't come through, but they actually did everything correctly. In that case, the state would say it was a system glitch, they were registered, you can count their
There's an
provisional
allowance.
ballot. But if you have someone that, say, lives in Rockport and just wanders into a polling place in Gloucester and they're not registered here, we don't turn anyone away, but they're not registered to vote. So
Right.
Okay, so what safeguards are put in place? Like, what could possibly go wrong on election day from the city standpoint at a polling precinct? A machine goes down, for example, or has anything come like that, or what sort of precautions do you take?
Jams, paper jams.
Yeah.
yeah, that would be annoying if
Yeah.
that happened. I always look at it though, the absolute worst case scenario that could happen at the polls on election day is that a tabulator just totally fries, or they all fry, which isn't going to happen.
yeah.
But the worst case scenario, we go back to the old school way of doing things, which is we hand count the ballots at the end of the night. So as much as I do not want anything to happen to the tabulators, because hand counting can be a headache when you have a lot of ballots to hand count,
Yeah.
the actual tabulator itself is not what is validating those election results. We use paper ballots, which is great because in the case
You've
of
got a hard
a
copy.
bad situation, we can pull them out at the end of the night and hand count them if we have to.
So walk us through the actual voting process. When someone has their ballot, they make their selection, they put it in the tabulator, and then the polls close 8 p.m. What then happens from your vote being cast to counted and posted at the precinct to delivered to City Hall?
There are a couple things happening at the same time. So at 8 o'clock, when the polls are declared closed, staff from the city clerk's office will go to pick up the tabulators and the little drives that are inside of them that contain the results. Those are brought back to City Hall and they are plugged into election reporting software, and those become the unofficial results. Meanwhile, back at the polling place, the ballots are being packed up in the actual ballot box. There's the ballots that are tabulated that actually went through just fine, and then sometimes there'll be a ballot, maybe an absentee or a vote by mail ballot that maybe someone spilled coffee on it or something at home, and the machine isn't going to read that, but it's a valid ballot. So something like that would get put into the hand count compartment of the.
How about write-ins? Do you have to deal with write-ins?
Yep, we're going to get to that.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. So the hand counted ballots are going to be hand counted. And then that whole pool of ballots that are in the ballot box are going to be scanned for write-ins.
Okay.
And those write-ins get tallied, as do the hand counts. And then they all get packed up and sealed and brought back to City Hall.
So, and you have the little chip in the tabulator that is saying, that's reporting what the count is.
Yes. So on election night, you're going to be seeing unofficial election results. Any hand counts, any provisional ballots, overseas ballots, those get added to the unofficial results. And then we have to wait until the deadline to file a recount petition passes. So when that expires, if there is not a recount, then those results become official. In the event of a recount, whatever ward or the entire city, if that happened, was recounted, then the results of that recount are entered into the official election results and become the official results.
Is there a time? Is it like 10 days after the
is 10
election?
days,
It is
yep.
okay.
So that unofficial tally goes to City Hall, but that is not official because you haven't included all the write-ins and the hand-counted ballots.
Correct.
Right. So
And
that on
again,
election
waiting
night.
for the deadline for the recount. So
Yeah.
Okay.
the
And then
11th day after that is a weekend, but the deadline to file a recount petition is 10 days after, so it's the following Friday after the election is the deadline. And then-
okay. So Grace, what would be where obviously if the tabulation is done and it's a tie, then you know there's going to be a recount. Otherwise, is it a candidate requesting a recount, or would the city step in like, well, this is pretty tight?
No, a candidate has to
Okay.
request the recount, and then they have to get at least 10 signatures from voters in the ward that's being recounted.
Oh, all right.
So they have to file a petition for a recount.
So you told us when the results become official, which is 10 days after Election Day. And what is the best and fastest way for the public to learn what the results are?
On the website, if you go to
The city website.
The city website.
Okay. And
Go
how
to the
quickly?
elections page. We'll have the official results posted. So the deadline to file a recount petition is on a Friday. So you're looking at probably seeing the official results, if there's no recount, the official results getting posted on Monday.
Okay. And how about election night? What the unofficial results on election night?
We're
Where's-
hoping to have the live election results like we did for the preliminary and the previous general election in 2023, where there's going to be that spreadsheet that's in the auditorium and
Yeah.
also on the city website. So
Yeah.
you'll be seeing those numbers getting plugged in live.
Yeah, we can probably further explain because 1623 Studios is working closely with City Hall so that when those votes are counted and finalized for the unofficial results, we're sort of synced up with this spreadsheet and can somehow transmogrify that into a graphic depicting the winners and the percentage points and maybe even the total vote numbers.
Can someone just tell us?
We're trying. So it's harder than, if you look at election coverage for national news or something like that, you'll notice there's closing credits with 5,000 names and we have 5 names.
Yeah.
But that's what we're trying to do. So as soon as those results are in, which is usually around 20 odd minutes or so after the polls close, would you say?
Yeah, usually by 8:30.
By 8:30, yeah.
They should be, but you never know. It could be a little slower.
Well, is there anything, Grace, that you feel like the public
Yeah.
should know about this process that maybe they don't know?
Well, something that I would like the public to be aware of going to the polls on election day is the prohibition from campaigning within 150 feet of a polling place. So someone coming in with a t-shirt, a hat, a sign, a button, anything that is displaying a candidate or, depending on the election, a question that's on the ballot is prohibited.
Even a voter cannot wear
Yes.
a hat that is endorsing their candidate.
Correct.
Okay.
And you also cannot collect any signatures on petitions or nomination papers within 150 feet of a polling place. However, you can wear what would be considered campaign material for a previous election as long as that person's or question is not appearing on this ballot. So someone could come in with, a t-shirt or a hat from 2024. That candidate or that question is not on this ballot, so they are not in violation of electioneering or campaigning.
I never knew that. Fascinating.
I know, right? So
Well, because I'm thinking of all the polling places where you see people, you notice like at the East Veterans School, they're sort of down at the corner of Eastern Ave, and Webster Street.
the people
or
with the
Magnolia
signs.
Library, they're sort of across the street and
Yeah.
down the
Yeah.
way. It's like, oh, that's why.
That's because
So-
it's 150 feet away.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
actual voters, I think it's interesting
Yeah.
that, and I learned that
Yeah.
as a poll worker in Rockport, that you can't enter the polling place with a T-shirt or a hat or something that endorses somebody.
Awesome.
It is a mass general law.
Yeah.
So it's not just poll workers being picky or not
Right.
liking what you're wearing. It's a requirement by statute.
Right. Right.
Well,
Good. That's good information.
that is
for
good
people.
information. Yeah. So, Grace, well, thank you so much for spending time with us. Good luck next week.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure we'll be talking to you often between now and when the results come in anyway, because we really appreciate your cooperation with 1623 Studios and what we're trying to do with the broadcaster. We're trying to make it mimic real live television the best we can
like that.
with limited resources. But you've been awesome for us to work with, so we really appreciate your time. Good luck on how the next week goes, and we'll see you on November 4th.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Heather and I wanted to bring in Ethan Foreman of the Gloucester Times to talk all things this election campaign season, just kind of get a lay of the land, Ethan. Now we know there's a lot on your plate this time of year, so we really appreciate you coming to the studio to spend some time with us.
Yeah, there's like 402 years I got to catch up on.
That's right. We also want to note out that you will be joining us for our live coverage on November 4th, right around 7 p.m. too, when you're really up against the deadline.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Okay, so thanks again. So, all right, I guess right off the top, do you just want to kind of give us, like, how have the last few months been for you personally covering this? Like,
Oh, you don't want to know.
Yeah.
You know, it's like PTSD.
yeah.
Because there's just a lot of information that's just coming at me. I mean, right now my head is like swimming. I got a bunch of candidate profiles to do.
Yeah.
I had to do that for the preliminary, and then it's gonna have to do it all over again for the general, for the municipal election. But I guess that's what we live for as reporters. And politics makes a big difference on a local level. Yeah. That's one of the things that Paul Lundberg had said in the listening session that I attended over the weekend.
Let's talk about that. You were at the listening sessions. I wasn't. Were you there?
I was not there.
Yeah, we weren't there. Tell us what happened at, so it was the two mayors, one at a time, speaking in Lanesville, is that right?
Yeah, so the mayoral candidates went to the Lanesville Community Center. It was hosted by former city councilor Valerie Nelson. And so the format was go around the room and then have the candidates talk about what's going on. So it was very informative. The attendance at the Lanesville Community Center was about 20 people, many of them Lundberg supporters. And it was Sunday afternoon. I had to leave the Patriots game, so there was not as many people. And the mayor held court for 2 hours talking about everything from I-4C2 lot to affordable housing in the schools. And it was actually very informative. And as a reporter, local reporter, it's very frustrating. How much can I get out to the public? But I think these were good conversations, and I'm working on a story for that about that.
So it was Lundberg and then
Lundberg was on
consecutively.
Thursday night. No, Friday night. I'm getting my days confused.
Yeah.
Friday night.
Same audience?
No, different audience.
Okay, all right.
So
okay.
it's whoever wanted to come, and
Okay.
it was really well done because it wasn't just question answer. It was like questions and then a conversation.
Yeah.
And then more questions. So it was really long.
Yeah.
But
So just given that scenario, could you describe a couple of differences between the two candidates?
yeah, I can actually. So the lot is called I-4C2. The city's owned it for over a decade. It's been an eyesore. It was supposed to be a hotel. There's been different ownership. So now the city owns it. It's actually two parcels: the waterfront parcel, sort of the upland parcel. What are you going to do about it? So right now, it's parking for the lobstermen and lobster trap storage. It's not really fulfilling its highest and best use, and the city needs a waiver to actually have it as a parking lot from the
They don't have the
from
waiver?
state. It's not. They do. They need it.
Oh.
It's in other words, it's not supposed to be a parking lot. So what do you do with it? So for Lundberg, when he was talking about it, his preference is to keep it open.
Open space.
There's a marina there, so that's going to stay. But I guess his preference is to have it just be open and open to the public. Mm-hmm. But the mayor's saying no. We actually can't do that. We can't just keep it parking. Mm-hmm. So it can't be a park. So you have this designated port area. You can't have a park in the designated port area.
It has to have use.
It has to have that marine industrial use.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of a difference in their approach. So the city is now, I guess, they've hired a new economic development coordinator. They've gotten a grant, and they're just sort of going out there and looking for proposals. Now there's I think a certain percentage that can be used outside of the DPA, a certain percentage that should stay marine industrial. I'm not up on the harbor plan, so I don't know the granular details. But that's kind of where the mayor is coming at it, as opposed to Mayor Lundberg, mayoral candidate Lundberg, as far as the I-4C2 is more. He wants to sort of keep it open.
Well, what I find interesting is these are 2-year terms, right? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you get through Fiesta, the 4th of July, all that, and then in September, boom, preliminary election, who's in, who's out, and then we cram everything in 6 weeks, and that's that. And we're on to the next thing. So you're dealing with, and we have 28 candidates, I think, running for all the various positions this year. And then every community center in the 5 wards wants to host a forum or a debate. So it's impossible to cover. Like we try to cover as much as we can. Right. We know you're trying to cover as much as you can. How has that been, trying to just track this stuff?
I can't tell you what somebody said. There's a debate tonight. And I'm like, where? It's at Magnolia. I heard my editor on the phone. What time is it? I'm like, I'm Googling. So yeah, it's been rough. There was a downtown neighborhood association debate, which I didn't list in the round. I got you guys to give me a nice little calendar, and I forgot that one. There was a mayoral debate by the chamber early on, which so it's been impossible.
Have you gotten any sort of sense from the folks turning out for these events what the vibe is in the city? Are voters frustrated, content? A lot of these same topics seem to be coming up election campaign after election campaign after election campaign.
Yeah, schools, affordable housing, development. The Magnolia debate, I think, was a really good snapshot of the zeitgeist of the community, because it seemed like there were equal number of supporters in the room, and there was some really good feedback. But I honestly can't tell you, other than I can't handicap in this race. I really can't tell you how where this is all heading. But there is a lot. I feel like there's a lot of interest in the city.
Yeah. It's why I found the preliminary election so fascinating, because we were going to lose a named candidate really early in the process, and it is. It's impossible. Like, we're all sort of in the game and what goes on around here, and none of us can really even project or just kind of get our finger on the pulse of the voting, body.
I was at the Ward 2 and 3 debate, a forum at the library, and so the issue that came up that I thought was most fascinating that the candidates talked about was safety. Needles in the streets. Yeah. I didn't think that would come up at a debate, but that's a big issue in the wards, the downtown wards, safety, and what can you do about it? So I thought that was excellent. I do read the police blotter,
right?
And you see a lot of those quality of life issues.
Sure. And the big stories have been, we mentioned the Voters Guide too, the Gray Center being down, centrally located has been problematic here and there. And I always enjoy trying to find out what those big issues are that are affecting the community. Are there some that may have been overlooked, or are certain candidates leaning on stronger? I mean, just to get back to your workload, Ethan, like are candidates, how many are reaching out to you for coverage or to get their voice out there? Because we know they have a lot of forums and debates, but other than that, there are some that we don't hear from at all, and some that sort of use all the avenues possible, or they're on social media, they're calling the Times for coverage, they walk in to do a candidate statement here, and then others we don't really know much about.
Well, I don't know. I think we don't get a lot of press releases. It's not like the old days. Somebody has a statement. They'll do some people do endorsements and they'll send us stuff, but. It's very difficult, but I think that a lot of their campaigning is local. I think door knocking is, a key for a lot of these candidates, which is smart, because you really want to get to the voter one-on-one. Hey, I didn't like what you said here, but I'll vote for you, So I think they're doing a lot of that.
Yeah, the boots on the ground.
So let's talk about, we kind of discussed the mayor a lot. Let's talk about the councilor at large races. What are you seeing there? What do you think the issues are? How are they managing each other? I know in the Lanesville councilor at large forum, they got a lot of praise for everybody getting along so well. I don't know if you saw that. And they had good ideas. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting, I mean, if you have been watching, there's 2 vacancies on the at-large. There's 4 at-large councilors.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta catch myself.
And 6 running.
There's 6 running, but because Jeff Worthley is not running because he didn't make it through the mayor preliminary, and the long-term Ward 4 stalwart Val Gilman is decided to retire.
Yeah, two big voices.
Yeah, so there's 2 vacancies. So
Right.
that makes this race a lot different from the last time when it was kind of like musical chair, 2 years ago, it was musical chairs, who's going to wind up the top vote getter. Well, I don't want to say the incumbency is a strong asset, but that someone's going to get through. One of the incumbents is going to get through because you have those vacant seats. I think it drew a lot of challengers. So we have a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
So does it make it tougher for
race.
those incumbents?
I don't know. I know they have to restate their case. I don't want to say who I think is going to get through, but you're going to have at least 2 new members on the city council, and you've got, I think, really good quality people to step up. So Patty Page has been long advocate for the waterfront, knows those issues very well, is somebody who reads the agendas, knows how to ferret out some of this information, and she's very good at broadcasting it on Facebook and sort of letting people know. She's been doing that lately to let people know what's going on. You have a sort of a newcomer to politics, Sean McQueenie. I think a Peabody native, very interesting guy. Is young. He has the young voice. He's 39 years old, and he's got the young voice. So
He
brings
says he
that
was nudged
perspective.
to run from younger people.
Yes.
From the school, when he was standing with the teachers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he brings that quality as well. So Jason Groh is known. I talked to him. He's running because he wants to bring stability to the city and have a place for his kids to live. We've got Tony Gross, the other incumbent, who has done everything in his life. He's been a commercial fisherman. He worked for 4 years or 5 years at the water treatment plant. He's been done construction. Was a home inspector. He's got a lot of, and he was on the Waterways Board, a long time member of the Waterways Board.
Right.
So knows the waterfront. So he's sort of the voice. Seems to be the voice of the waterfront. I think he's the only commercial. Yeah, he's the only commercial fisherman.
We have 2
That-
lobstermen in there, but not
current.
current.
Not current,
right.
but he's the only one.
Yeah.
Mayor never fished.
Right.
So he
Was it
he's-
Minio and there's another one who works in a
Yeah.
boat. Anyway,
Yeah.
interrupting you.
So then we have Hannah Kimberly is coming in. She's the president. She's president of the Cape Ann League of Women Voters, and so she's running. So she's very politically active. When you say, why did you run? Well, that's something the league does encourage people to do. Now I'm drawing a blank.
Barnaby Prendergast.
So Barnaby, I know Barnaby very well. I'm sorry, Barnaby. As somebody who, just your impression, this guy goes to the meetings. It'd just be me and him. Hey, Barnaby, how you doing? So someone
That says a lot.
who does their homework, and he's a handyman now, but he used to do IT for the International Planned Parenthood. So he's got a very fascinating. He's from London. He's got a very fascinating background, and so he's got that perspective. And as somebody who really, I find prepared, and you have to listen to him. And he's, one of the things that he's been talking about is maybe we need to have an override, because
For the wastewater treatment?
for just to keep up with our services not happening, and for the wastewater treatment plant. But that might be a hard sell in Gloucester.
Is it easier or harder to run for councilor at large to get the citywide vote?
I don't know. I think you're right. It's like there have been cases where the at-large councilor tops the mayor in votes. So, I used to cover Peabody, and there was a councilor there who used to always top the mayor.
Wow.
Mayor Betancourt, who's extremely popular.
Yeah.
So, so it's you're running citywide.
Yeah, right, exactly. I don't know but maybe in some ways it's less personal, less really entrenched. So you could.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
I think it's tough to be a ward councilor because you really have to go door to door, and it's really just meat and potato issues.
Yeah.
It's constituent work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
What's interesting too is you brought up this dynamic with new faces versus the incumbents in the at-large race. Sort of seeing the same in the school committee race as well, where you have the stalwarts who have been there for a long time now, but now we have 4 people running for seats this time around that have never been part of local politics before.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting dynamic as well. I mean, I really couldn't tell you how this race is going to shake out. So you could have up to 4 new faces on the school committee.
Yeah.
And
if there's a change at mayor,
Yeah.
who is the other member of school committee
So
too.
here's an odd dynamic that I've never seen. The superintendent announces retirement,
Right.
and this existing incumbent school committee is going to promote it wants to promote the assistant superintendent. And I don't have any opinion on that plan.
Right.
But it does open up this opinion. If there's going to be an election, what is the referendum? What is that going to be a referendum point for these candidates? There's people who have said, I've heard say, why do you want an existing person to be in that role because the school's test scores haven't been so great. That's the opinion I've heard. I mean, I happen to think that Gloucester has really excellent schools, and they deal with a lot of challenges.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that might be a dynamic, and I think the other dynamic in the school committee race is this teacher strike,
Yeah.
which
Can't
was
ignore
very
that.
contentious.
Yeah, yeah.
It was very, very contentious. It was drawn out. Gloucester managed to settle it much sooner than Marblehead and Beverly, but I think it left a lot of ill feeling. So we'll see if the incumbents were able to mend fences.
Yeah, maybe that spurred 4 of these new faces to run this time around. Because the school committee, they've taken some big bites in the last
Yeah.
handful of years here. The consolidation of the elementary school, East Gloucester and veterans.
They work
they
hard.
knew there was going to be an impasse with the contract negotiations. Like, not easy stuff.
No, and Lummis this school committee basically hired Lummis,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, superintendent after superintendent.
Yeah.
Well, because when I came in, Jeff Pope had stepped off. But you do have the incumbent. You have Melissa Teixeira, who's been on the school committee for a long time and brings experience from Essex Tech. Kathy Clancy, she's also been a long time member. Laura Weeson has also been someone. I think she's running for her
Third term.
third term.
Jeremy McKean.
Yeah. Jeremy's new, and Keith. So I'm not really.
And Bill Melvin,
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah.
But I think in the
Bill Melvin was and Bill Melvin was the he was the
Negotiator.
negotiator on the teacher contract. So he really stepped up.
Yeah.
And he's a coach too, so he's really well known in the city.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Well,
Anyway.
Ethan, have there been any surprises during your coverage of all this the last couple of months where you're like, oh my God, like you were surprised that maybe like this particular topic has struck a chord with a lot of people, or?
Actually, I don't think so because look, I mean, I'm always surprised. 'Cause I don't know what someone's gonna say, but I've just noticed some themes. Like people are concerned about the environment. They're concerned about climate change. They're concerned about affordable housing, but they're also concerned about development.
That's the thing.
There's a competing narrative here. We need
Yeah.
more houses because if you have more houses, you can have more workers who can live here, and that supports our industrial base. Okay, I get it. But then on the flip side, there's blasting going over here, and they're not thinking about the hydrology and what's going to happen, and these homes are going to be built over there. So, and we have all this land in West Gloucester, but we really don't have all this land in West Gloucester. It was interesting that the League of Women Voters 1623 studios focused on Dogtown. So both of the mayoral candidates don't want Dogtown ownership. They're consolidating the parcels, the open space committee, but they don't want that shifted to another entity.
Like
There's like
develop-
Greenbelt
yeah.
or
They
trustees.
want to keep it in the
They
city.
want to keep it in the city.
City-owned. Huh.
So there's that struggle. Like Gloucester, there's no land. Gloucester, there's so much land. Gloucester, we want affordable housing, but Gloucester development is always such a sensitive issue.
Yeah, it's hard.
We were talking before we came on camera about the different wards And is there a ward that could swing the election? Can you talk about that at all? Well, wards that have some more gravitas for one reason or another?
I've been told, it's Lanesville. That, and you could see that you saw that in the preliminary. I think there were more votes in Lanesville for one candidate than there was for, that were cast in one of the downtown wards. So it's, in other words, it's very active politically. So that seems to be where, and then I guess the other one is East Gloucester, and
so Ward 1 and Ward 4.
And Ward 1. And I don't know why because we had the election with 3A, with the MBTA Communities Act zoning, which really primarily impacted the downtown, why the turnout was not as robust. It did win. I think it did win one of the downtown wards. I think it did, but it was not enough to overcome other parts of the city. So I don't know why this is. It's not a bad thing, but I wish that the turnout could be greater in the downtown, because that's really where the heat seems to be as far as what's going on, development and.
Yeah, because there was a quiet
Certainly
turnout for the
density.
preliminary, although I think there were 1,000 more people this time around than 2 years ago. It didn't feel like that.
It didn't. It felt very quiet. You get your information about where these forums and debates are.
1623 Studios.
That's
Thank
fine.
you,
Yeah,
that's the
'cause
right
we
answer.
can ask Emily off camera too, because these
Yeah.
things change and form and go away. So like the tide.
I want to say that I get to give hands off to the Downtown Neighborhood Association, the Chamber, the Magnolia Library, the Lexington, the Lanesville Community Center. For those people to pull all those together, it's not easy.
It's not easy.
We can't do it. Like, we just don't have the staff anymore to do any of the kind of debate. And I have to really thank 1623 Studios for letting me sit in on the ward councilor and mayoral debates or forums.
Yeah.
Well, Ethan, we appreciate all the work you're doing. We know you're up to your eyeballs in it right now, but just one more week, and then you can take a break.
It's just great to see you again, Ethan.
Thank you, Heather. I miss you guys.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So Ethan will be joining us next Tuesday night, November 4th, 7 p.m. for our live election coverage from Kyrie's Auditorium at Gloucester City Hall. He's doing this again. He did it before for us. So we're looking forward to spending some time with you then, and keep your head screwed on straight in the meantime.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, guys.
You got it.